10 years. It's been 10 years since the world was introduced to Floating Bonnie. In all seriousness, can you believe that it's actually been 10 years? God, I feel so old. I was in elementary school when Frederick was born. I remember we used to dare each other to Google search FNAF and click on images. I was one of the few who actually did it, and I felt like a king. Now look at me. 10 years later, I haven't accomplished anything. College is crushing every fiber of my being while I look back towards the nostalgic good old days, wondering where everything went wrong. My fleeting mortality and sudden realization of the looming inevitability of death aside, Five Nights at Freddy's has come so far from its humble beginnings. From being a byproduct of a failed child-friendly beaver game, to spawning over 10 entries including VR titles, spin-offs, lore galore, a truckload of merch, a heaping helping of books, a whole film, and a pillow pit. I don't think it's an exaggeration when I say that FNAF has had one major cultural impact on the world and internet media. I mean, this is the franchise that gave us Cheese Trap. I don't know how we ever survived without Cheese Trap. So to celebrate this momentous occasion, I wanted to take the chance to rank every single FNAF game, which isn't an easy task. These games tend to be a little divisive. People go back and forth on the quality of each game all the time. Is FNAF 4 the scariest or the most tryhard? Is Security Breach's gameplay more compelling, or does it miss the point of the franchise? Is Ultimate Custom Night unbalanced, or is it a skill issue? There's just so many angles you can look at these games from. But I think I found the absolute most definitive and objective way you can judge these games on. Out of everything this franchise has to offer, what is the number one thing everyone keeps coming back to? That's right. The 8-bit minigames. Have you ever noticed that we tend to get the most important pieces of lore from these minigames? Seriously, think about it for a moment. Just about every crucial story beat and development we get are from these bootleg Atari mistakes. So our ranking for these games will be based on the quality and quantity of these 8-bit minigames. How pretty or appealing the sprite work is, how quote-unquote fun the gameplay is, because let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of compelling mechanics here, and because it's FNAF, how much lore they give us. And one more thing, I know not all of these are 8-bit, but I don't care about your 32, 69 bits, 4 bits, 3 bytes, 1 bit, whatever, Dr. Seuss. I don't care. I'm just gonna call them all 8-bit for the sake of simplicity. So with that out of the way, let's get ranking. Also, spoiler alert for everything. Number 16. Coming in at the bottom of the Fazborough as the absolute worst FNAF game, we have FNAF 1. This game has no minigames. And no, the pixel crunching on the edges don't count. Instead, we have lore presented to us through paper news clips and other hallucinations. And that's it! It's a miracle that this game managed to get any traction whatsoever with how garbage it is. No, I don't care if it has the best atmosphere, tension, sound design, and the tightest mechanics. Quite frankly, none of it matters if it doesn't have any 8-bit minigames. It completely avoids any quality. Suffice to say, this game's success was a complete fluke. FNAF 1 is terrible, Scott Cawthon is a complete fraud, moving on. Number 15. Security Breach Fury's Rage doesn't have any 8-bit minigames either. But it has Anim Dude. He kinda resembles a sprite, right? I mean, he's based off of Scott's little icon dude. It's a sprite. Look at that little guy go. He helps you fight off bad guys. That's pretty cool, huh? Okay, look, it's not much, but it's a whole lot more than that excuse of a first game could ever offer. So it goes above it, whatever. Number 14. Freddy in Space 2 also doesn't have any 8-bit minigames. Look man, it's difficult for these quick spin-offs to justify having any 8-bit sprites when they're essentially junk food filler titles. But at least they brought back Anim Dude again. And this time he resembles an 8-bit sprite even more now because he's all blocky and is a reference to Mega Man's Yellow Devil boss from the NES. So he takes his spot above Fury's Rage Anim Dude. Also, I'm not sure why, but I'm glad Scott decided to give himself some very pronounced breasticles. Number 13. Freddy in Space 3, Chica in Space still doesn't have any 8-bit minigames. This video was a terrible idea. But you know what it does have? An actual, real, genuine, honest-to-God sprite. This game marks the return of the FNAF 2 purple guy sprite driving a spaceship, probably on his way to go run over a kid or two. I mean, what else can I say here? There's nothing else to him, he's just an exposable common enemy. Moving on. Number 12. Coming in on number 12, we have FNAF Special Delivery. Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. Well, good thing I have a bunch of pre-recorded footage. Okay, the bit is getting old. 5 entries and there's still no damn minigames to be found. Illumix must have been off their rocker if they thought they could turn this game into Scott without one of its most crucial components. I'm not saying this is why the game was cancelled, but the writing's on the wall. But hey, at least what we did get was actually pretty cool. 8-Bit Baby, one of the skins provided to you for Normal Circus Baby. Or I guess this is an entirely new character, given how she has her own slot, CPU, and is apparently more difficult to defeat than Normal Circus Baby. What? Man, I don't know what they were smoking over at Lumix, but this is still an awesome addition to this game. I love it when 2D sprites are made into 3-dimensional figures. Probably my favorite gender. She has a few cute animations and sound effects, and provides a decent challenge to more experienced players. But man, I just love looking at her! It looks so cool! But it's not technically an 8-bit minigame, so I can't put it any higher than this unfortunately. But still, fantastic addition. Also, everyone always talks about Toy Chica's hips that don't lie.
I will f the shit out of that robot, man. I'm not even...
But have you seen 8-Bit Baby's curves? God damn! Number 11. Ultimate Custom Night has an 8-bit minigame. Finally! I guess technically 2 if you want to count this little catch a fish mechanic as a minigame. I wouldn't personally, but you can if you want. Make this the new theory debate. Does catch a fish count as an 8-bit minigame? Anyway, in order to access this minigame, you have to put OMC onto an AI setting of 1 and catch a fish when he pops up. Doing so will grant you access to a red scale pond. Here you can talk to an old man and drown yourself. The true circle of life. So yeah, not much going on here. It's a single room and the graphics are just recycled from another game. But the dialogue is pretty good. It warns the spirit about the endless cycle of vengeance and advises you just let go of the past and rest. His little speech always manages to send a chill down my spine. And the sound design? The creepy deep rumbling sped up to reveal William's cries for help while he's burning in hell? Ah, that's so good, man. The lack of, much else to do around here does drag this game down a bit, but still, a great first actual entry into this list. Number 10. Coming in on number 10, we have FNaF Help Wanted. Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so this is a really weird case. The main game itself does not have an 8-bit minigame, but when it got ported over to the mobile version, they added one in order to compensate for the removal of other heavier content. You're on a diet? Here, have a salad, but don't forget your ice cream! But the mobile version isn't available anymore and I missed out on my chance to get it. So I'm gonna have to use footage from Daco. I hope you don't mind, buddy.
You're a fucking little squeaky bastard.
Daco! You have to stare at a bunch of grids or something? I don't know, man, it's never been very clear. But if you do something right, you gain access to Princess Quest. And my god, is this game beautiful! It has some of the best sprite work of the entire series. You go through land branch, dodging enemies and opening doors. And the reveal of that weird glitch trap blob with the secret dialogue? Man, this was so good. But the fact that this game isn't available anymore, therefore making the minigame null, I just can't put it any higher than I already have. Honestly, I don't think I should have counted this at all, but it did exist at one point and it was really good too. So let's just compromise and put it really low. It's a shame, but what can you do? Things will get simpler from now on, I promise. Number 9. Coming in on 9th place, we have FNaF World. Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. So originally, apart from battles and other interactions, FNaF World was almost entirely sprite-based. But due to poor reviews and reception, the game was pulled and overhauled to include an entirely 3D overworld. It was a thoughtful sentiment, but unfortunately it pegs down FNaF World on the list. There's still some other 8-bit minigames, like the clocks where you just move forward pretty much every time. You also have the subtunnels, those are kinda 8-bit. The further you go down, the more bits you lose until you reach Old Man Consequences. Unfortunately, while there's an abundance of things to do, it's also simple and kinda plain. You go slower and slower as you traverse the subtunnels, and it just turns into a slog. Though I do like how the clock stuff ties into FNaF 3's good ending. And possibly FNaF 4's Dream Theory? But apart from that, not much else. Oh, but there's some other 8-bit adjacent things in this game, like the glitching Fredbear or Scott's final boss that transforms from his sprite, or also the purple guy sprite you can unlock. Has anyone ever noticed that FNaF World's purple guy is based on the FNaF 3 sprite, but it's still kind of changed up for some reason? What's up with that? Was this your attempt at making him kawaii? There's also the Geist Lair, with all the enemies as sprites. Though, is there any reason why they had to be sprites, specifically? What does this have to do with the story, or area? The Deathman got lazy and just made 2D enemies? Or maybe it was Scott who got lazy and just didn't feel like modeling more 3D enemies to fight. So yeah, a pretty wide variety of stuff to chew on here, and everything that is pixelated tends to be standard quality. If the base game had stayed 8-bit, then FNAF World would have gotten a lot higher on the list. But for now, it stays on a humble 9th place. Number 8. Smack dab in the middle, we have FNAF 4's End of Night minigames. Or is it beginning of night in this case? Remember at the start of the video when I said that we get most of the story from these 8-bit minigames? Well, in FNAF 4's case, pretty much the entire story is told through them. People say that FNAF's sister location was when these games started to be more story driven, but I think there's an argument to be made that FNAF 4 is what started it all, and was gonna end apparently. As we progress through the nights, we take glimpses into a sensitive child's life, where he is constantly bullied by his older brother and tormented by what he saw at Fredbear's Family Diner. Really, I think it'd be more appropriate to call these 8-bit cutscenes rather than minigames. You don't really do much apart from just exploring these areas, occasionally talking to some kids, and getting jump scared by the brother. Though I do like the more detailed and beefy design of the world and its people. I mean, look at how buff Freddy Bully is. Real macho man over here. And this is the only instance where the whole aesthetic and visuals change depending on which version you're playing. If you choose to play on the Halloween edition, you'll get some very festive decorations through these nights. Who puts a jack-o'-lantern on the inside of your house? Is this a normal thing to do? I thought the whole point was to decorate your porch. Why go through all of this effort just to not show it off to anyone? Is William stupid? But yeah, apart from a secret or two, there's not much else apart from the story, as you watch a traumatic event unfold before you. Okay, everyone say it with me. But all memes aside, it's genuinely chilling how blunt and sudden the bite is. The bully's freezing in shock as everything goes silent. And don't even get me started on the final cutscene. All of Crying Child's friends disappearing while a flatline plays in the background. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. So yeah, overall, a great visual style with a great, if not retrospectively confusing story being told. Number 7. I was debating whether or not to have this above or below FNAF 4, since they both offer similar concepts with different executions. But ultimately, I decided that FNAF 2 barely edges out with its 8-bit minigames. Being the one that started it all, you can definitely see the schlockiness of the sprite style. Freddy missing his ears but having his hat in one game, while he's missing his hat but has his ears in another is still the funniest gosh darn thing I've ever seen in my life. But they're endearing in a way. You look at these sprites and say, oh, that's cute, he really tried his best. These death minigames each tell their own little story and clues us into different corners of this game's lore. How the puppet came to be, how they gave life to the dead kids, and why FNAF 2's location probably closed down. But what made me decide to put this above FNAF 4 is, I just found these to be a little more compelling. And I guess the gameplay is a tad bit more fun. I liked seeing a child get murdered just outside my reach while I gave cake to other children. I liked roaming around FNAF 2's restaurant, seeing dead bodies, occasionally seeing Golden Freddy, and getting the haunting you can't message from Purple Guy. I like how his sprite changes to a more pinkish tone to show that these events are taking place earlier in the timeline. There's just so much more stuffing in FNAF 2's 8-bit minigames than FNAF 4's pretty straightforward ones, especially because the animatronics are actually stuff in this one. Number 6. You know, as I was writing the script, my mind started to shift on the placement of these next two entries. I thought I was pretty sure which one I preferred, but ultimately after taking a long look at myself in the mirror, I screamed for ice cream. FNAF's sister location is an interesting case because it has one of the best minigames of the original Click Team run. You can access this death minigame by dying, or by just clicking on this little hidden 8-bit baby. It's a pretty busy minigame. You go around shooting kids in the face with diabetes, different cupcakes have different effects, the sprite work is nice and colorful, and I don't typically touch on the music because most of these don't have anything noteworthy, or are just playing a continuous string of music boxes. Seriously Scott, you have kept the music box industry alive through these games alone. But Turtle Crusher is a banger. Honestly, this 8-bit minigame is a slam dunk. My only criticism is... I suck. Sister Location also has unlockable 8-bit cutscenes. Beating the custom nights with a difficulty on V hard yields a slow progression of a walking corpse rotting away. These aren't technically minigames because you don't control anything, but I'm gonna count them anyway. So the minigames are fun, they have a great full style with great music and sound effects, but what about the impact they give us? That's one of the biggest things holding Sister Location back. Baby's minigame tells us how she came to be and how Elizabeth got lured and trapped. Pretty tragic presentation, but we kinda already knew that Baby was responsible for her death. The game makes that pretty clear, and the cutscenes have this fun climax where it shows the aftermath of Mike's body being scooped for animatronic noodles. But at the same time, this kinda just served to confuse the narrative. It didn't really add much else to the story, and was more than anything a setup, or sequel bait if you will. But apart from that, this is still some quality content. Solid entry all around. Number 5. Just barely making it into the top 5 and barely beating out Sister Location, we have FNaF 3. FNaF 3 has 2 sets of minigames. One are the end of night minigames where each night you control a different animatronic and are led by Shadow Freddy for a very fun and non-violent time. You know what's really cool about these? If you go down this corridor, you'll get hints on how to unlock the rest of the 8-bit minigames. You double click on BB's drawing, you insert a code into an arcade cabinet, you collect little burnt cupcakes, you insert a code into a wall, what? And you click on Shadow Bonnie, or the song I made when I slip in the shower, on your desk. This is a very clever way to access secrets that doesn't involve just dying over and over again. You can choose to play these games normally, or literally break out of the bounds to deliver cake to the lost souls of children.
Hey kids, did you meet a grisly and violent end to your short life? Is your soul forever tormented and unable to move on to whatever afterlife you think is out there waiting for you? Well, with today's sponsorship, Cake, you can ease up all those balled up feelings of agony for the low price of—
Whoa, you didn't pay for no sponsorship. What the hell do you think you're doing? Get out of here before
Let me just say, I love how in Happiest Day, the kids slowly fill up the room. That's neat. The art style is a fine line in between FNaF 2's and FNaF 4's sprite style, probably because this game came out between them. Things are detailed but not overly blocky. The colors are simple but work for what they go for. And the gameplay is pretty straightforward, occasionally a little confusing. Seriously, the first person to access stage 1 must have been tearing their hair out. And Chica is having a party all on her own here, huh? So the visuals are simple and the gameplay simpler, not too far off from Sister Location's quality. But these minigames ultimately led to a more satisfying conclusion and are integral to the game's story. Completing the end of night minigames answer the question, what's the deal with Springtrap? And the Happiest Day puts the kid's soul to rest, finally putting an end to this tragedy, at least until Scott came out with 1,000 sequels. But still, the quantity of the minigames along with the more conclusive narrative makes this a little better than Sister Location for me. I know you unlock an extra challenge with Baby's 8-bit minigame, but this is special. Number 4. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Man, the amount of balls for this game to start off with an 8-bit minigame, only to pull the carpet and reveal it to be a normal game, only to pull it again and include more 8-bit minigames. I guess they learned after the FNaF World fiasco of 2016. Pizzeria Simulator has some of the best of all worlds. Fruity Maze and Midnight Motorist are some of the most fun times I've had staring at a bunch of dead dogs and accumulating DUIs. Seriously, ignore the lore, don't think about dead kids for a second. Instead, just enjoy these games. There's genuine fun to be had here, except for Security Puppet. This is pretty milquetoast. And in my opinion, this is where Scott perfected his 8-bit art style to have the best and most balanced proportions. Too bad these are the last ones he's ever made, but still, perfected. I love the stories they give, seeing Fruity Maze get more and more corrupt. As the music starts to warp, Susie starts crying, and the sudden car alarm overpowering everything. This is one of the more haunting moments of FNaF, and it comes from a freaking quarter-eating Pac-Man ripoff. Security Puppet is like a director's cut to FNaF 2's Give Cake minigame, where we see the puppet crawl to try and save Charlie out in the rain. And even if it's boring, I do like the build up to the reveal, as you just watch kids come and go, not getting to do anything until the grand reveal. And of course, Midnight Motorist. You know, out of all the speculation from this damn minigame, I'm personally still waiting for the grand return of Green Guy. Come on, Scott, Green Guy deserves his own spin-off. Hashtag give back Green Guy. Overall, we've got a great lineup of 8-bit minigames, with quite a bit to offer. I will admit, apart from Security Puppet, they don't really do much to add to this game's narrative, so much as they fill in blanks from the past, or gape them even more in some instances. But still, it makes sense. This game was meant to wrap up and tie up loose ends of the franchise's story, so I think it's appropriate for them to take that route. Oh yeah, I forgot about the 8-bit minigame from the start. That one's pretty cool, all things considered. I'm glad shoving unhealthy junk food down kids' gullets is a consistent theme in these games. Number 3. The bronze trophy goes to Security Breach. No surprise there, the entire fanbase usually agrees that Security Breach is peak FNaF. And nowhere is that peakness more evident than in its 8-bit minigames. This game probably has the most consistent track record when it comes to its quantity and quality of its games. With Scott off the reins, every sprite and pixel actually feels like they were, professionally made, rather than the improvised feel that Scott had with his. No disrespect to Scott, but my god, is the difference day and night. Look at this man, look at it! Everything is so beautifully crafted. There's lights and shadows, parallax scrolling, fluid animations, whatever the hell Chico's Feeding Frenzy is up to, and so on and so forth. And there's so much to do! Princess Quest returned, so thankfully it's not stuck as lost media on a non-existent mobile port, along with 2 sequels, Quest 2 and Quest 3. This time, you actually get to fight back, and have so many more locations to explore. Balloon World is a Flappy Bird style minigame, where you pilot Balloon Boy through a never-ending army of trees and rocks. You can aim for a high score, or touch one of these glitches and follow the purple line to the end. I remember this minigame gave me so much trouble the first time I played. But check it out, I actually beat it first try this time. Yeah, I get late. Last but not least, Chica's Feeding Frenzy. Does this even count as 8-bit? I don't know, something doesn't feel right about this one. But whatever, it's a bullet hell where you shoot at enemies and projectiles, unlocking more weapons along the way. Honestly, this one's probably the most fun out of all of them. There's something so satisfying about mowing down enemies using hairspray and sausages. Beating this game unlocks Chica's voice box? A lot of people thought this was an unfinished concept, but no, apparently it's to show Cassie is a caring individual and wants to help these melted heaps of their unbearable existence. Okay, sure, but what about Balloon World? This literally does nothing. You unlock an achievement and it's never brought up again. So yeah, unfortunately not everything is perfect about these 8-bit minigames, but I think Princess Quest makes up for it by giving you an ending, where you seemingly free Vanessa from her possession. Not sure how any of that works, but a cool reward. So overall, one of the best entries from the entire franchise. Amazing visuals, fun and exciting gameplay, and a satisfying story. Number 2. You know, a lot of these minigames have had some pretty memorable moments. Whether it be a shocking reveal, or a shocking reveal, or a shocking reveal. Okay, I get it, Scott, the shock therapy is working, I'm all healed. But no 8-bit minigame has given me such whiplash, such an adrenaline pumping, such a testosterone twisting experience like Help Wanted 2's Princess Quest 4. It starts off normal enough, we're introduced to a new teleporting mechanic and we're on our way. It was fun getting to play on an actual arcade cabinet for once, with a joystick and everything. So pretty standard stuff so far, but then you unlock a new room. Go inside, and oh my god, the princess is here. You see yourself controlling her and moving her around. But it doesn't end there. Naturally, almost like a basic instinct, we attack ourselves. And oh my god, even more, we are the princess now. If I had a nickel for every time I hit myself in VR and ended up getting trapped in the game, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's still weird that it happened twice. Sword in hand, we go down the corridor and start fighting back against these Mike Wazowski enemies. And they introduced that teleporting mechanic so you can teleport everywhere. You can find a secret bonding mask hinting towards who you're playing as. And the ending. You end up in a claw machine with a giant Vanny looming over you. You give away your glitching plush and watch as Vanny crushes Glitch Trap in her hands, finally ending all control over her. Now this right here, this is simply awesome. I don't care if the environment isn't technically 8-bit sprites. I don't care, truly. I don't care! None of it matters to me when everything is just so cool. This minigame sets out to do one thing, and by god did it succeed. It's so interconnected with the character you play as and the characters around them. The absolute fun and excitement I had when swinging that gold sword around is unmatched. And I know it's only one minigame, but what Help Wanted 2 lacks in quantity, it makes up for in sheer quality. A fantastic climax to an otherwise fantastic game. No doubt one of the best, but there is one more game that took the gold home. Number 1. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, aren't you uploading this video on the exact same day this game releases? How could you possibly know where to rank a game that wasn't even out yet? And to that I say, well, just look at it. This game is drop dead gorgeous. Look at the animations, the sprites, the colors, the everything! The art style is fantastic. I was blown away when I first saw the trailers, and I'm still trying to get over it. I cannot believe how good this looks. And yeah, maybe I'm setting myself up for disappointment, and for this video to age horribly. But screw it, man. The rest of the game could be complete dog water, but the art style itself will carry the whole game. I'm hoping it's good, the story and everything, but we'll have to wait and see for those qualifications. But for now, the beauty of the game itself warrants the number 1 spot, and is therefore the best FNaF game of the entire franchise. Also, this marks the return of Floating Bonnie poster, which automatically makes us the best. That was definitely on purpose, right? There's no way they didn't do that on purpose. Well, there you have it. The only correct ranking for these games. It's official, don't look into it. In all seriousness, it shouldn't be too surprising that they decided to make an entire FNaF game sprite-based. The 8-bit minigames have always been so crucial to this franchise, and after spending 10 years at Freddy's, it was only appropriate they go full circle and celebrate with the ultimate 8-bit minigame. Truly no better way to celebrate the 10th anniversary, and I hope the series can stay strong for another 10 years. And yeah, this ranking video will inevitably age poorly at the announcement of new FNaF games, but they're about to release the newest one, so I think I'm good for a couple of months. Hold on, what? What do you mean they already announced 2 other games? Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. I just want to thank you all for over 400 subscribers and over 20,000 views on my Bill Cipher video. That's freaking insane. I cannot believe how lucky I got with that. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I really appreciate it, all of you, like every single one of you. And congratulations to these 5 people specifically for being my first 5 commenters. Especially this guy, he was the first ever commenter. You saw a video with very few views and little to no comments, and you went ahead and posted something very positive, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for commenting, for sharing. I saw someone shared one of my videos, and you know, I really appreciate it. So I hope you guys stick around for more. Fair warning though, if you subscribe for more theory videos, I hate to disappoint, but that's probably the only theory I'll ever make. It's just not my thing. But I do hope that you guys will stick around for my other stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.